thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, tell us about how you got involved in music.
So my first involvement with music was when I was 3, and I started studying piano. And my primary influence is probably my grandfather. He started taking me to the symphony every week, starting at age 3 all the way up through 18.
That's wonderful. Now, tell us about the music that you create.
When I compose music, I started off with a lot of piano music on its own. And then I have a really close friend who inspired me to start going to the next level and using things like MuseScore, various apps, to try and add in additional instruments and the other instruments that I play. So I integrate taking time to play it on piano, but then I will divide that amongst all different instruments and write an orchestration.
So you compose music for orchestra. What is the process like of composing music that's going to be played by many different instruments?
Sure. It's a great opportunity. The first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and compose it on piano. I was inspired to try and go beyond the average 3 octaves that you see around middle C, and you've got to have that wider spread to really integrate a neat selection of instruments. I'm also thinking about what the song is that's influencing me. So is it something that I'm connecting to a certain genre or a certain type of movie most recently? And in that case, I'm also thinking about the instruments that I'm going to include ahead of time. And then I turn around, and once I compose it, there's another app that I can use that will throw it into sheet music right after I'm done going ahead and recording it. And then I can put it into something similar to MuseScore, and I can really integrate changing the key, changing the sound, putting in different instruments, and really seeing if I can get that same emotional connection that I'm wanting to get as when I played it on piano.
Now, how do you approach composing for an orchestra different than when you compose it as a solo piano piece?
Sure. I think, honestly, both are pretty similar, but I have to put more into when I'm doing orchestration because I'm thinking ahead of time what instruments I might want to use based on where can that particular instrument play, and am I including notes within that, or I might play something similar, and if I want to include piccolo versus flute, maybe I'll take what I had with piano, and then on MuseScore, I can just take it up a couple octaves so it's more in the piccolo range.
Mm-hmm. Now, in addition to creating music for orchestra, you're also starting to make music for films. Can you tell us about the work that you're doing?
Sure. I have a friend that is just completing a movie that they were a part of, and it's titled The Best. And in the end, they had taken time to talk to me a lot about the themes within the movie, what is the climax of the movie, what is the main plot throughout, and what are some of the primary areas where music would be beneficial. And usually I would watch a movie and not have any kind of musical background.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I do it, it would be the order I would normally do it, but because I'm new to this area, it's sometimes you start in a little bit of the reverse direction and get things started. So once he had taken time to do that, I composed a song that matches the title of the movie, The Best.
Mm-hmm. Now, in addition to creating your own music, you're also teaching younger generations how to make their own music.
Yes, my favorite story to tell is my student. When I had first started this, probably about 4 years ago, she really liked how I said, oh, listen to a song that I had started playing and made up last night. And so she listened to part of it, and she's like, I don't know if I could make music. And she's like, isn't that just for big people? And I said, well, I'm actually learning a song that was written by someone about your age. I didn't tell her it was Mozart Piano Concerto. But either way, it was about her age when he had composed the song. So she said, you mean it's not just for big people? And I go, no, it's not. And I said, it's taking time. And I said, do you write stories in school? And she goes, yeah, we write them. And I said, okay, well, you can write a story when you compose music, but you're saying it with notes instead of words. And she goes, and that's it? And I'm like, that's it. And she shined and she wrote music, and that's how I really start a lot of my younger students. And there's a lot of them where I've just had tears just to hear the very first song they've come up with. Very exciting.
So I think for a lot of us, both young people and adults, might want to make music, but it can be a bit intimidating if they don't have a background, they don't know, oh, I don't know the music theory, I don't know how to write notes. How do they approach writing their first song?
I start with my students who are still beginners. They haven't learned how to play the piano yet, to the point where I can put just any level of music up there for them to play. So usually I've earned their confidence, and that's the first thing. And once I know that I have that, I have the opportunity to really connect in on the level of explaining, put into notes, what you would put into words if you were telling a story. And I tell them to let go of everything else and focus on one thing, maybe an event that happened that day or something exciting that week that they would love to make a song about. And once they clear their minds and they feel that they're away from maybe other people that might cause tension or pressure, for me, sometimes I have to be on my own depending on what I'm writing, then they can turn around and they just start playing. And I don't really have to say much. They can really compose the songs pretty quickly. And they might be short, but then when I reward them by going back, using the apps or the various programs I have, and publishing it in sheet form where it's got their title. Now, the younger students might be writing songs about school or the lunch ladies or why recess is not all day, and they get a smile from it. It's something that when I hand it to them, it's a shine in their face, the very first song that I give back to them where they see it published with their name as the composer and the notes on there. And that gives them the drive to not only connect with music at such a deep depth, but it also gives them the drive to want to compose again.
Do children approach making music any differently than adults?
Yeah, I would say that when I compose music, it's definitely a difference. My bringing up was a lot of classical music, and so I understand a lot of the structures and dynamics and different things like that. But I feel that, so it's all a determinant on where's the music going to be used. Is it something that all the family is going to listen to? Is it something that is going to be possibly published and out there for others to listen to on the radio? So it still is a broad range, to answer that question generically, to really see a move one direction or another. Yeah.
Now, you have a background in public health. How does that influence your approach to music?
Yes, it's neat. As I've been taking time to teach music as a teacher and also perform and play, I also have had a consistent interest in working as a nurse. And so when I went back and I studied public health, one of the important things for me to do is to try and work with some of the biggest health challenges. And the largest health challenge in the United States is chronic stress. And the best overlap is fine arts. So although I have taken time to go the direction of health, the most important thing is to integrate a lot of fine arts every day to really help with chronic stress.
Now, in addition to being a musician, you also make visual art. Could you tell us about the art that you're making in that realm?
So I primarily have done oils and photography, but lately I have taken time to go ahead and get into a lot of graphic art. And one of the neat things that I've had an opportunity to do is take what I like to do with graphic art and then integrate a video where I will put in music that I've composed, and then I'll go ahead and combine the two so that I can have a video that shows, like one of the songs is Lost in Peru, and that's a song I wrote when I had a lot of tension going on and then needed a song to just really escape with all the tension going on. And so I went ahead and put a video together that shows my friends from Peru and some of the videos that they had sent. So I love to take time to cross over art and music all the time.
Now, are there any musicians, either contemporary or in the past, that have inspired you?
Oh, great thing. You know, one of them, I would say in the past, my younger years, would have been classical music. So that was a primary inspiration in going to the symphony every weekend. But I think the most recent one, I have some musicians that I would say have one of my friends, David, he is in Peru, and he has composed music. And then there are some of my other composer friends, one in Germany, and I can't pronounce his last name correctly, but he has been another inspiration, because when the start of the Ukraine war started, the very first day, he integrated an opportunity for musicians to compose a song to really say something different about what was going on. So that was one of the songs where I composed in piano music for Holding On to Hope.
Have there been any pieces of music that really touch you emotionally, about the story that is telling?
There are. I think the ones I wrote this past year and starting to put lyrics in, it's a different depth of connection. Before, it would be just notes expressing how I feel at that moment, and that's the crossover of my close friend now, Robert, who even would listen to the songs and say he could even understand the depth of what I was feeling at that moment. The ones, though, with the lyrics that really are the songs I listen to the most are Clearing Space for What Matters, and that's about really learning to let go, and The Breath Within, and that's sometimes being in the unknown world and being okay about it, and sometimes just taking a pause and knowing that even if we do nothing, there's a healing mechanism in that also. So those are the two that really probably touch me the most lately.
What is it about music that you think speaks to us so much?
I think the most important thing about music is it's an international language. It's an opportunity where we don't have a barrier in other cultures or communities, ethnicities. It's a really a neat way. I love always multicultural opportunities to interconnect in so many different directions. And so that's where I think music really takes the opportunity to connect all that together. One of my closest friends, he's in Nigeria, and we are still best friends, and he also composes, and the true connection is music. And I think it takes down a lot of barriers that are amazing.
Now, where do you want your career in music to go in the future?
My long-term career is honestly having an opportunity to teach others how to compose music and to work with others on integrating music into everyday music or art, whichever they choose. Creative writing, dance. I may not be the best teacher for creative writing and dance, but the other two I can help with. And it's taking an opportunity to find something that they can do almost every day and integrate it into their time, take a pause, and have an opportunity to work that in to try and really help take down chronic stress. That's my ultimate goal.
Do you have any last bits of advice for musicians, rather young or old?
General recommendations. I think it's important to have a passion for what you're doing. I think it's important that I have had some students where I felt it may not have been the instrument or the time in their life that they connected, which is why I try to get them at the very beginning to write their own music, so that it's a good way to do that. But I think it's really important that they're doing what they love. It shouldn't be something that builds up tension or stress, or then the importance of music is lost. So I think it's important to make sure that it's something that they're doing because they have a passion and they want to.
Well, Kristin, where can our viewers learn more about you and the music that you're making?
I have all of my music on YouTube, my most recent ones. And so if they just go under the name Kristin, Kristin, and Westmore, Westmore, then I can be pulled up. If they look for the songs like Lost in Peru, some of the other songs I've mentioned, then you can find me there, or Facebook. So those are my two primary ones where I have all my music for anyone in public to view.
Great. And are there any performances or new music that you'll be releasing that we should look out for?
The primary music is I'm waiting to hear to see if potentially I'm doing the full film for the best, or they might be using just as the primary title piece. So that'll be the primary thing there. And then last night going to a great event here in town to meet other directors and producers. There's a couple more potentials coming up, so
Good.
it'll be exciting.
So I look forward to seeing what you do. And viewers, thank you so much for watching us today. We'll be back next week with more great interviews. Kristin, thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you so much for your
Wonderful to have
time.
you.
It was wonderful.
Right. Bye.
Bye.